always just add it in post, right?
I could do that, but that also means I have to go and edit it, and I don't really want to do that. Anyway, I already started recording, so welcome to the show.
Awesome. Great to be here.
So I guess I can probably do the intro read, even though I'm not going to do the intro song. So welcome to Tech Over Tea episode 22. Today's guest is a crypto media creator on platforms like LBRY, BitTube, Steemit, 3Speak, really just on any platform with crypto in its about section. Welcome to the show, Scott Cunningham, better known online as ScottCBusiness.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you on the show, man.
Yeah, it's great to be here. I've seen a few of your episodes before, so it's cool to get an invite.
Yeah, I've been really enjoying a lot of your content as well. You kind of were the reason I got back into doing investing. I kind of gave up on it for a while, and then I started watching your monthly investing update series. I can't remember what you
Okay.
call it, but I started
Yeah,
watching that
yeah.
again, and I was like, okay, well, I should probably get back into this.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome because I mainly follow Stefan Graham and Andre Geek on YouTube for investing. So I'd love to see them jump over to like Library and some of these other decentralized platforms. But yeah, I think it's so cool to monitor it and have all that and then share it with other people. And then it makes me feel like I'm keeping myself more accountable to actually tracking it and then
Yeah,
presenting it and giving it to everyone. Because then, when people are like, oh, where is it? Then it's like, okay, I got to make sure I stay on top of this.
yeah.
And the cool thing too is that it's like monetizing something that would otherwise be considered to be like tedious accounting work, or just something that you wouldn't make money from normally.
Yeah, you somehow managed to turn just doing your taxes into just interesting content. Because I kind of
Yeah,
made the mistake
yeah.
with my last year of crypto investing. So I only done a little bit in my last tax year. I don't know when the tax year in Canada ends, but in Australia it ends in the start of July. And I hadn't actually been keeping track of stuff, so I had to go back and retroactively look at the prices for stuff, look at when I bought everything. Luckily, my like exchanges and stuff kept good records, because otherwise that would have been just a hassle to deal with. But it's still a more of a pain to deal with than I really should have made it be.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know how good I am with like tracking my crypto, payments. Maybe I'll have to do some retroactive stuff in the future, but since you can't claim losses here right now, I have no idea how the tax stuff is going to work. So, I mean, my mom's worked for the CRA for like 40 years, and she's basically like, yeah, like we're not really looking for this at all right now. So, I'm just kind of, seeing how things play out. Yeah, I don't know if I have to pay retroactively, then that's how it
Yeah.
goes. But everything fiat wise is crystal clean for me.
Well, yeah, that part they actually will be definitely hitting you on. Otherwise, they definitely like to go
Yeah.
after online creators.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's why we have things like Bit Refill and all these different ways to just spend money with crypto
Mm.
without having to actually, create a taxable event from like selling it or putting it into my bank account and then withdrawing it that way.
The way that just general crypto stuff was handled is it handled in the same way. So trading and stuff like that, that's all handled the same way that you'd handle buying and selling shares or stocks. So that's not
Um,
difficult here, but I don't know what
yeah.
it's like for you guys.
Yeah, no, it's fairly similar. I mean, I could open an account like outside of my bank, but right now, just because I only started investing like halfway through last year or a little earlier than that. So I haven't been investing like in the stock market for very long. I just did it through my bank. It's definitely not the cheapest way to do it.
No, definitely not.
But it is the easiest way to do it.
Mm,
So in the future, I might open up an account with like Quest Trade. That's just one of the places that you could trade here in Canada. I mean, there's tons, but
yeah.
it's the one that has the lowest or no fees at all. So I'd rather do that since I've already probably spent like $200-300 just in trading fees, and that's really unideal. Not compared to how much I've made though.
Mm.
Um, but I could definitely make a lot more if I didn't have those fees. So I'll be looking at switching eventually, but I was just getting started originally, so yeah.
Yeah. how are staking rewards handled in Canada? Because here they're just treated as income. So they're actually treated completely differently from just regular crypto trading. If you have like, I don't know, D Live staking rewards and you make, I don't know, $100 a month off of that, that's just treated on top of your regular income here.
True. Yeah. I mean, and again, I'm not really like claiming any of my like crypto stuff right now because like technically I've withdrawn less than I've put in
Hmm.
originally, and so it's not a real big concern until I'm starting to withdraw more than I originally put in.
Yeah.
And that's when I think that I actually care about it. So I mean I've been tracking everything, but I haven't had the need to claim anything or go that far with it. I'm also making like a very low bracket, so they don't really pay attention to me very
Yeah.
much. And then I do everything else in crypto. So I don't know. Maybe eventually, if my videos start to become like really popular, they might like clue in that like maybe I'm making a lot more crypto than they thought I was, and then
Yeah.
that might
Yeah.
be a concern. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, the thing I really like about staking is there's some staking rewards where you can just get the rewards without even having to do anything. There's some where you have to claim, which is obviously a little less ideal, but not that bad to do it once a week or however you can do it, because obviously it's going to compound more the more that you actually participate. And then you got like lending, which is another great way to make money, and that's something I've just recently started to get more into. And now I'm also trying to find like good crypto gold like tokenization things to invest in, because I'm also interested in that right now.
So how does how does lending work with crypto then? 'Cause I've seen you
Y-
briefly talk about that, but I haven't looked into it myself.
Yeah, so I only just started to get into this maybe I'd say 2 weeks ago. I looked at all the ones available, and I had to rule out the ones that were mobile only because I do all of my trading on my PC, and it's just a hassle for me to like so I was just like, okay, which ones can I do both? And the best were Nexo and BlockFi. A lot of people were like, "Oh, use Celsius," but they had issues with like my Canadian address, and then I tried to fix it, and then it still didn't work. So y- too much effort there, and they're going, and I contacted support, still didn't fix it. So Nexo and BlockFi, I threw in about two or $300 of stable coins into each different stable coins. So I did like DAI, USDT, TUSD. Um, I can't remember the others, are USDC, and I think GUSD, something like that, and PAX, I think. So I threw 300 into each, and so far it's been making like I think like 4 or 5 cents a day, something like that. I could bring it up, but it's pretty good considering, it's money that you would otherwise just have sitting around. Um, and it's not too much of like I don't feel like it's that risky, like
Mm.
even though it is lending, they have so much collateral that I'm not super concerned about it. And it's going at about 8.6%. So right now, I only put it in very recently, and on BlockFi, I've got 38 cents earned so far. And I'm not going to bother logging into Nexo because it's going to make me have to two-factor authentication
Yeah, yeah, all
everything.
good.
But on BlockFi, I've got 38 cents so far. So, it's definitely lucrative. And I also invest in crypto real estate, realty,
I was gonna
like
ask you
just
about that
real and
one.
then capital T. Yeah, yeah, that's another really good one. I'm getting about 93 cents a day from I have 5 properties now and a few tokens in each, and then in total that's getting me about 93 cents a day.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry, 93 cents paid out every 3 days, so it's more like 31 cents. Um, because they've been paying out less often just because of the high gas fees, so that they can pay us more without us losing money in the fees. So yeah, 93 cents every few days is pretty good to me. And I just posted something recently where I was like, that technically will pay for eggs for the rest of my life. And that's the way that I like to approach investing. And I think it's a very satisfying way for people, especially when you're not very wealthy and you're going to
Mm.
have very, very small milestones. So when I look at it like, okay, this next investment will pay for I don't know, like I don't know, orange juice for the
Right.
rest of my life, and then eggs, and then da da da. And you keep going until eventually you're like, okay, now all of my food forever is going to be paid for. And then you're like, okay, now all of my utilities, and then eventually you're paying everything. Most of my expenses right now are actually being covered just from like Library and Hive and all of my different crypto platforms. And then I just pay for everything directly through that, using a Visa card that they have in Canada that is paired with your with a crypto account.
Oh, that's
So I can
cool.
just load it up with Ethereum, and then um, everything from alcohol to food to Spotify is paid for with this, and it's all just crypto. So it's really cool. I just top it up once a month, and then it just basically pays for everything except for like my rent and like student loans, which obviously got to pay with fiat. But soon enough, I hope to eventually not have any fiat reliance, and then go digital nomad, and then just like live somewhere really cheap. I know there's a lot of CEOs that I've interviewed who are living and well and just like big influencers who are like living in like Thailand, Indonesia, where it's like, something upwards of 250% cheaper to live, and
Oh,
then
jeez.
you can just do really really well as a digital nomad there, when you're still getting that USD or Canadian dollars worth of currency. So yeah, I think that would be a really really cool way to maybe in the next 5-10 years, once things sort of settle down, hopefully.
Well, I was gonna. You just kept going on for just a long time. There was a
Yeah,
couple
I
of things
kind
I
of
did
went on
want to.
for a while there.
I did want to cut in on a couple of points there, but you seem to be having a fun time just going on throughout your entire life. The one thing I did want to bring up was with like BlockFi and the other lending platforms. Do those have any of the same sort of requirements that something like Realty has? Because I know for that one you had to be like a accredited US investor. So do those have the same sort of restrictions or?
Yeah, no, they don't have any like intense restrictions.
Mhm.
I think realty is the only like exception where it's just for US. Well, it might be for some other countries too, but in Canada you don't have to be accredited to invest in it. But I know if you're in the US, you do actually have to be an accredited investor. So, they have a lot of weird rules in the US around like real estate and like ICOs and different stuff like that. So yeah, I mean that's unfortunate for people there, and that's why lately I've been trying to find other solutions to talk about, because I know like most of my viewership is in the US. So
Yeah.
it sucks for them when they have to see all these cool things that I'm looking at. And but to be fair, there's things in the US like M finance and different things that I can't use in Canada for
Mhm.
like stock investing. So I can't buy fractional shares of stocks, which sucks, and that's why crypto is so ideal, especially for passive income and being able to get compound interest rather than having to wait until you can actually buy another stock and then paying like a $10 trading fee
Mm.
and wiping out most of my gains. So crypto is a way better faucet for something like that.
And the other thing in there that I wanted to talk about was buying crypto. Oh, sorry, buying gold with crypto. So I actually didn't
Yeah,
even know that was
so
a thing that existed until you brought that up just now.
yeah, I mean, I actually haven't gotten deep into enough to it to actually speak on it yet, because I haven't actually bought any, but I've been looking at a bunch of like alternatives. I will dive into that probably in the next couple of weeks. But I do recall from some conferences and like meeting some different projects that essentially what I'm looking for and what I already know is out there is there's projects where they'll have gold stored somewhere like in a Swiss bank, and then they'll tokenize it 1 to 1, and you can actually like claim that if you wanted it to. So you can
Mhm.
claim your crypto, like they take it back from you, and then they'll actually mail you the gold, as long as you have an ounce worth of the gold. So that's kind of what I'm looking into, or something similar to that. And ideally I want to be investing in a lot more gold over the next little while. I'll probably be buying a lot of real gold too,
Mhm.
maybe opening a safety deposit box, but I don't think I'm going to store much of it at the bank because that kind of defeats the purpose. So yeah, I'll figure something out. I won't speak too much to how much gold I intend to have, because the physical aspect of having
Yeah,
that
that's the
stolen
big
is
problem with
definitely
that.
unideal.
obviously like your crypto wallets could be compromised, but if someone knew you had a bunch of gold in your house, well, there are people who've tracked down creators' houses before, and if they knew you had a bunch of gold, you'd be tracked down pretty quickly.
Yeah, yeah, especially if you're talking about it and you've got the exact value and all the stuff that I already report on, it would not be ideal.
Hey, here's my spreadsheet of the exact days I bought everything, the exact weights of everything. Yeah, no, you're probably not in a good situation to be bringing that up too much.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So, when you started investing, you said that you only recently got into trading stocks, but so I'm going to assume that you started with crypto then.
Yeah, I mean, I've only been in the game since about 2017, so I'm pretty late to pretty much everything. I think I've always kind of had a little bit of an idea and awareness in the back of my mind about crypto and blockchain, just because I went to school for networking and IT
Mhm.
security, so everyone in my program was somewhat aware of it. There was murmurings. We talked about it occasionally, but it wasn't something that everyone was jumping to invest in. It was more like, look at something that's, new and might be something in the future. But then when I graduated and I actually decided to try and invest and lost a bunch of money in the big crash, I realized it was more the tech that I was interested in. So,
Mm.
given that I was doing social media marketing at the time, I was like, okay, well, what kind of blockchains can work with like social media? I found Steam and then just kind of continued exploring from there.
Yeah, for me, I- I'm a bit younger than you, so I think when the crypto crash happened, I would have been first year of uni, I reckon. Um, so not that much younger, but still a bit. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm 25, so I'm
yeah,
not too
I'm
old.
22, so but the point I was getting at was I always knew about like Bitcoin and stuff like back when I was in high school. But back then I kind of was watching the price just go up and down. I was like, this is dumb. Why would anyone bother investing in this? You're just gonna lose all your money. And then I started like coming across creators like you and getting eventually just seeing that it's a bit more of a long game with that, and also now with you talking about things like staking rewards, when I first started investing in crypto, I was doing the buy in, trying to sell up at a higher price, and it's stressful doing that. I did it for a month.
It's
I was like,
so
no, I can't
stressful.
do this.
Yeah, yeah. It's so sharp. It's so hard to do that. And I think only 1% of day traders are actually successful, crypto and otherwise. So
Mhm.
the thing I talk about a lot and I think this speaks to a lot of people, maybe millennials, maybe just in general, by building up a dividend portfolio or like a passive income, it is much more stress free. If the stocks go down, if the crypto goes down, you're just able to acquire more to then get more passive income. If it goes up, you've got appreciation, you're happy. No matter what, it's usually win-win, as long as you're playing for the long term. And even if you're playing long term and the stock goes down, that could be scary if you're doing growth stocks,
Mhm.
because it's like, oh, okay, well, what if it continues going down? But if it continues going down and still paying the same dividend, that's not that bad, because if it's a strong like crypto or a strong
Mhm.
company, it's going to bounce back, right? Um, there's obviously been a lot of price opportunity with the crash and like COVID and everything going on. So that's, tons of opportunity still. There's still like a lot of stocks that are down, anywhere from 20 to 50%. So I think a lot of the oil stocks are still going to come back. I think there's a lot of things that are going to come back. I mean, again, I've only been investing for a short period of time, so I'm by no means like an expert, but I do take it very seriously now. I'm checking my stocks every day. I'm looking at what I'm going to buy next all the time. It's very something that I've brought into my regular daily routine now, and I really enjoy it too. So like I get a lot of like just actual enjoyment from looking at my budget and being like, how much money could I save and what stock could this buy? And then what could that stock buy then for me for the rest of my life with passive income? Someone goes to buy a Nintendo Switch.
Mhm.
And to me, that's, 5 TD stocks that will pay me, so and so for the rest of my life, and then I could buy a Switch in 10 years with that money and then keep going,
Hmm.
right? And then what about the next 40 years? That's 5 more Switches. Like, so that's the way that I've kind of always looking at my purchases, and it makes it much easier and much less stressful. Um, Something really powerful that I think it was Stephen Graham that he said this. As I said, I mainly follow Stephen Graham and Andre Geek for finance on YouTube. Um, he said having the ability to buy something and then choosing not to is extremely, extremely satisfying, almost to the point where you usually don't actually have to make the purchase. Just knowing that if you really wanted to, you could, and having that satisfaction and knowing that, like, if I really, if it all came down to it and I had to have that thing, I could have it. And because I know that I could, I don't necessarily have to yet. I can keep going, and then I know that I could if I really, really had to. You can always buy it the next day or the next day or the next day.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's just a very empowering way to look at investing in life in general for, just having good finances. Cause I mean, I'm also like a minimalist, a financial minimalist, and I've gotten more into that over the past few years. But, I don't expect most people to do some of the things I do. I think they're pretty radical. Like I haven't had a car, and I've been pretty fervent on like keeping that. And I just use Uber, but I don't really do much. I get my groceries delivered. I get my beer delivered, right? Like I save a lot of money this way. And people will say, it's not possible. It's not possible. Well, I thought the same thing until I decided that I was going to do it no matter what. And then I just took the bus. And, I've been doing this for like 6 or 7 years now with no car, and I plan to do my full 30s, or to get to my 30s before I actually seriously look at something like that. But I'm waiting for Elon to just make a car that is fully AI driven so I can just buy it already, and then lease it out on Uber and let it pay for
Mm.
itself. That's my dream, where I hold off forever to get a car, and then I finally get it, and then it just pays for itself. Doesn't even have a steering wheel or something like that. That's my ideal vision for when I finally do break down and get a car. Hopefully, they have that in the next 5 years, but otherwise, I'll probably keep going this way.
Well, one thing you did bring up there was the satisfaction of being able to just buy knowing you can buy something but not actually buying it. This is like a very basic example, but I think that it's an example that a lot of people will kind of, I guess, understand. So, like, imagine when you have your first job when you're at somewhere like McDonald's, KFC, just some really terrible job that's paying you basically
That was my
nothing.
first job, McDonald's.
Yeah. Oh, same here. Um,
Oh,
not a great
nice.
experience. I got there when I was already an adult, and they didn't like that, so they just gave me no hours. Um, but anyway, the point I was getting at there was after I quit working there, I moved to another job, and one of the things that at the time I really liked buying when I went out for takeout food was sushi, and sushi is expensive, at least expensive for
Yeah.
takeout food. And when I moved
Yeah.
from that job at McDonald's to the current job I have now in a supermarket, it's not a big upgrade, but it's at least an upgrade. I knew that when if I wanted to get sushi, I actually have that bit of extra money to spend. It's not a massive thing that I can buy, but it's still something that I wasn't able to just be like, okay, well, I just want this now. And now I know that if I do want it, yeah, I can go get it, but I don't necessarily have to do so because I can get it tomorrow, I can get it the day after.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's so empowering because, I mean, first off, if you did get the thing every day that you wanted to get,
You would
then
have
you
no
wouldn't be
money.
able to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you wouldn't be able to get it. So just being empowered by the fact that you could, I think is so close up to the point of the satisfaction that you would get from actually getting it. But like obviously you're not actually getting sushi, and you actually have to eat something still. But I totally agree, and I love sushi as well.
So let's see. We actually covered a couple of things there. So how did you actually find yourself over to library?
Yeah, so I mean, I've been looking for I've basically been joining every platform that I could find that
I've noticed that.
is crypto monetized, or has blockchain in the name, or somewhere on the site.
I'll see if I can find your
And
linkly page.
my next review should have like 130 platforms. So it'll be pretty ridiculous. But I mean at the same time, most of them are not that great. um but when I originally went on library, I was a little turned off by the fact that you could only use it through the app, but I still was using it. There wasn't a ton of people on there at the time. It was very, more just for like the more techie people.
Mhm.
Then once they got the site up and everything, and then they got the mobile app and everything up, they really started to take off. And then I started paying a little more attention to it because I'm always just very casually using a lot of the platforms, and then if they start to really like get a following, I'll pay a lot more attention to it, and obviously prioritize it a little bit more, especially with library where you can make so much money, and there's such a big community, and there's so much going on, and it's just a really really great place to be. Drama and latest recent things aside.
Yeah, I might have fueled some of that myself, but it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't keep up too much with stuff like that, but the
I probably
stuff
shouldn't either.
happens.
It's
There's
not good
bugs.
for your health.
Yeah. Yeah, there's bugs all the time, and oh yeah, even just like actual politics and everything going on right now. It's impossible to have any peace of mind if you just watch that all day. I mean, I
Yeah.
was just recently at my friend's cottage just to sort of, get away from the screens and just being here all day. I mean, I sit constantly all day with three screens in front of me,
Mhm.
and that's just my life most of the time. So, it's good to get away and sort of refresh.
Yeah, well, that's how I feel about going and seeing my parents. They live in 150 k's north of me, so it's pretty far out in into the middle of nowhere, and it's nice out there. You get away from just working every day. That's one of the problems with making media like this. You're always in front of your computer, and when you're in front of your computer, you know that there's something you could be doing related to your business. It's like, okay, I could be trying to do some community interaction. I could be looking into this service. Like for you could be looking into some new crypto platform or some new staking platform. And for me, it's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's some software I could be looking at, or there's this other thing I could be doing. Getting yourself away from just, I guess, being in the place you're always working is really, really important, especially when you do like most of your work from home.
Yeah, yeah. And I was starting to like almost burn out a little bit because I also was getting like more work on my like day job side,
Mhm.
like I do social media marketing. So I've been getting more work actually lately throughout the like everything that's been going on. It was kind of unexpected that I was going to get more work, but I have. So, I've been sort of trying to work with that, and I definitely can't keep up with a video every day right now, unfortunately. Um, but I'm trying my best to get back onto like a schedule and maybe do every other day or something. Um, yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of like series and different things in the
Mhm.
works. There's so much in the works. It's so hard for me to keep up with my own my own ambitions half the time.
That is another thing I did want to talk about. How do you actually go about managing your time? Because your videos are actually pretty well produced and really highly researched by the looks of it. Um, and I don't know how you have time to do all of that. Like mine, I think take
Yeah,
up a
I
lot of
mean,
time, but I feel like yours probably are even worse than mine are.
yeah, I mean, I'll toot my own horn in this in the sense that I think I always include a good amount of writing along with my videos, which
Mhm.
I don't see a lot of people doing. Not that that's a problem because obviously it is video content, and it is tedious to be like writing out stuff that you're already saying. But I always want to kind of make it like blog friendly for like blogging platforms as well. So yeah, it definitely does take a lot of time. I say probably spend like 3 to 5 hours a day just, like, making the videos, interacting with the comments and everything. I'd say usually around, like, 5 hours,
Okay.
5 hours a day is probably a safe bet, but it helps that I'm, like all my social media and everything that I have to do throughout the day is also, right here. It's not like I have to go somewhere and then come back. I can schedule everything throughout the day all together,
Mhm.
so that's definitely really, really convenient for me. And then I get to, once I'm done all my meetings and everything for the day, and then I just, lock down and just get a bunch of stuff done. Um, I do sort of prioritize my regular work. over like this channel and everything.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, maybe I won't have to in the near future. But yeah, this does sort of come after everything else. So I try to get everything done and then try to get this done. But if I end the day and it's like 2 a.m., I'm like, there's no way that I can start editing this video that I mean, usually I've got the video recorded, but it's
Mhm.
like if I start editing at 2 a.m., there's no way that I'm gonna get that out. And it takes me like probably an hour plus to edit, and
Mhm.
then like an hour for exporting, and then maybe an hour and a half to actually post it because I post to like 30 platforms. Um, and that's a huge process in itself. That probably takes the most time just to post.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna ask you how in the world you deal with doing that, because all the platforms I post to, I do YouTube that syncs over to Library, and I'm also using a platform called Transferring Videos, and that will then sync stuff over to my Facebook page and also to Dailymotion. Literally zero followers on those pages, but it still syncs over to those pages. And then the only ones I manually do. Oh, sorry, BitTube also gets synced over from YouTube. So the only one I
Yeah.
manually do is BitChute because the auto syncing doesn't work. At least I've never had it work. But
Yeah,
you
same.
you upload to I don't know how many platforms. I'll bring up your Linkly again. I see. Okay, how many? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
It
6,
might
7,
not
8,
it
9,
might not
10.
actually have everything
It
though,
doesn't.
because I am limited by the amount of links that I can share because
There's
I'm
a,
too
there's at
cheap
least
to buy
15
the
on
pro
here.
version of Linkly. Yeah.
There's at least
Yeah, I
15
mean, there's definitely
platforms.
more. Yeah, there's definitely more. I'm on a lot of like platforms that are just like not crypto monetize or blockchain,
Hmm.
but I'm using them as sort of just like social alternative
Yeah.
platforms to upload to. Um, yeah, and I can't be bothered to list those here because they can't fit. So I just kind of prioritize the crypto and
Yeah. Yeah.
blockchain
Makes
stuff. But
sense.
I'd say probably 30. I have a video. I can't remember the exact name, but it's something like behind the scenes or like my full posting process or something like that.
Hmm.
It's like about an hour and a half if you're willing to sit through it, and it is literally like exactly what I do. Like and just showing exactly what I do. So, if someone thinks that there's like some secret thing that I'm doing, you can watch that video and find out because it's just a lot of really tedious metadata filling out.
So what you're saying is that if I put my 4 years of software engineering to good use and make a script that automates it, you'd be really happy about that.
I'd pay to use that.
I want to look into that for
The
myself.
amount of time that would save, I'll give you library coins
I will have
or
a look into
credits
it when I'm
rather.
not busy with uni because I'm about to go into my
Yeah,
my final semester in what day is it? What Thursday? Yeah, like next Monday I'm going back to uni. So final semester, then I'm
true.
basically done.
True. Yeah, that's great. That's great. And I'm assuming you're in there for like computer science or something
Yeah,
similar to that.
yeah. I'm in my 4th year of
Okay,
software
cool.
engineering.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Yeah, I was maybe going to go to school for software engineering. And then I just went into networking and IT security because I liked the allure of like learning how to like hack and
Hmm.
stuff, but it's definitely not as fun or appealing as it might sound.
Yeah, I've said this to my networking friends before. I will let you guys make way more money than I will if I don't have to deal with a router.
Yeah. Yeah, the networking part is very dull. The IT security, cybersecurity stuff is definitely pretty interesting,
Hmm.
but yeah, the networking stuff really sucks the life out of most of the people in that program. And it really showed when we had like, like started with like 300 or 350 and we ended with like 50 people.
Jeez. You were
Yeah.
saying earlier that this job, like the content creation, is kind of your second thing. For me, I'm in a fairly good position where my expenses are really low because I'm in a share house right now, so all my bills are split between 3 people, and generally I don't really spend that much money anyway. So my day job in a supermarket basically covers that. So for me, I can kind of just focus on this right now, and that's kind of getting my plan for the next year. I want to end up taking a gap year, and if I can build this up to be the to the point where I can actually do this as like a long-term thing, that would be awesome. As much as I love software engineering, if I can get paid to sit here and just ramble about Linux nonsense and talk to people like you on a podcast, I'd be happy to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm actually making a pretty good amount. I can basically support myself for the most part with what I'm getting through crypto.
Hmm.
But it's not at the point where it would make sense for me to like quit my day job. And it's not like I don't like it or anything. It's not a problem. It's just it definitely obviously takes a lot of time.
Hmm.
So I still have to dedicate that time. Maybe in the future I'll like try to ease back a little or something. And I'll figure out with what works best. But yeah, I mean, I keep my expenses very low as well so that I can do this kind of stuff and have this focus on this. And obviously if I was spending money going out or doing things, then I wouldn't be doing this at the same time. So a good thing about content creation is you'll actually probably save money because you'll be spending so much time doing this stuff. You won't be doing all the other stuff aside from investing in microphones and equipment and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, I've been wanting to replace the Blue Yeti because I don't know how well you can hear it, but it has some noticeable problems in this room. My room is very echoey, and this thing has
Mm,
known hardware issues regarding echo. So I know I can
yeah, I
deal with
started
it by
off with
like,
the Yeti as well.
mm,
Yeah, and then I upgraded. Well, actually, I always had this because I made a lot of music when I was in university,
mhm,
and this is like an actual like serious like XLR mic, and I just got the setup. I have a good sound interface, good XLR cables, proper mic setup, and everything. And I think it's also really good to use like a real time like plugins on your voice. So I
mhm.
use Adobe Audition, and that kind of cleans up all the background static and all that stuff. And it just makes it sound a lot cleaner. And it's pretty affordable. So, I recommend. I mean, there's other things similar to that people can use as well. I just think it's the easiest.
Yeah, I was looking into doing some like some equalizing and stuff like that outside of doing OBS because on Linux there are some there's audio. Okay, audio work is kind of lacking on Linux. There's lots of stuff that's great on it, but when it comes to doing audio production, it's a bit behind. So you can't actually use VST plugins inside of OBS. So OBS has this really, really
Mm,
popular EQ plugin. Can't use it. Um, there's a tool called Pulse Effects, which can let you do like real time equalizing and noise gate and noise suppression stuff like that. It also introduces 200 milliseconds of lag into your voice, which isn't
mm,
really useful. So I'm kind of limited to what I can do in OBS, which is basically noise gate, noise suppression, and compressor, which is better
yeah.
than nothing. It cleans up the audio a little bit, but most of what I want to do, I have to do in post.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and I only realized like maybe like a few months ago that I had to like properly sync my audio by like clapping before every video because my audio was off by like a few milliseconds, and there was only a few people who noticed it, and I didn't even notice it for the longest time. And then I was like, "Oh, like that's why." Because originally I did that only to sync up my two cameras, but
Mhm.
now I do that for like the audio so that I can actually have it properly synced. Um, by just lining up the actual like clapping sound and the visual,
Now you're making me
because
think my
normally
audio
it
might be
comes in
desynced.
like yeah, I mean, like, I didn't notice it for the longest time, and then also when I compress my videos now, I ensure that I have it set to, like, a constant frame rate rather than just, like, the peak frame rate,
Mhm.
and, it comes out a lot cleaner. I use Handbrake,
Yeah.
so, people who are using LBRY, I highly recommend that you compress all your videos because, um, it's way harder to load them when they're huge files,
Mhm.
and people might just give up if it's taking too long, so it's really good to compress them before you upload. And if you enable the I think it's called the FFP MPEG or something like that.
FFmpeg.
FFmpeg, something like
Yeah.
that. But that's the transcoder that they have on Library, which will also help compress it even more. So that's like the most you can do to ensure that your videos are the fastest. And the best received for most people.
Well, Handbrake is basically just a graphical interface that wraps around FFmpeg, so it's actually the exact same tool. It's just much easier to use than writing out some ridiculously long command in FFmpeg. Once you have it done once, it's fine, but I've looked into doing it and I don't understand it, and I'm always using command line stuff, so I probably
True.
should, but Handbrake, I've got my profile set up in Handbrake for BitChute and also for LBRY, and that's good enough. Like, I've got the BitChute one because that platform's only in 480p, which is annoying. I don't know why it's in 480p.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something you got to deal with. I try to do it where I can just have like one video for all, because if I had to do it for if I had to try to format it for everything, it'd be impossible, and most of my time would just be sitting around waiting for exports to render.
Mhm.
So yeah, I avoid that because I used to do like 2 or 3, and that took so long that it was not worth it at all, and then I
Mhm.
just gave up, and I was like, I'm just gonna do one.
Yeah.
Because there was certain platforms where you couldn't do a thumbnail, so I had to put the thumbnail in front of the video, but it looks weird on other platforms when you do that. So, I eventually they fixed that, so then I was
Mhm.
able to go back to doing it normally, and that was actually Minds.com. They've come a long way, but they've also lost a lot of their main base, unfortunately.
Yeah, I've actually been really liking Minds lately. I've started doing a bit of blogging on there, and the instant I started blogging, my subscriber count like tripled.
Nice.
Which it wasn't much; it was like 20 on there. But as soon as I started posting blogs, two really weird things happened. Bill Ottman followed me, and John Ottman followed me. And if people who are listening don't know who those people are, they are two of the founders of the company, and I have no idea why they followed my account.
They're pretty active on there. You'd be surprised. The first interview I ever did was with Bill Ottman, and I wasn't an interviewer. He reached out to me and he's like, "Hey Scott, would you like to interview me?" And I was like, "Sure, sure, CEO of Minds." Um, and that's kind of how my interview like I mean, I was always doing videos. I was doing like reviews and tutorials and stuff.
Mhm.
But in terms of like interviews and, linking up with other influencers and people on these platforms, it was really all started by Bill reaching out to me and asking me to interview him. So just kind of a funny story as to how that all got started, because, it wasn't even something that I was trying to do. But then after I interviewed him, Jeff Kerdakis from Uptrend reaches out to me again, and then I was starting to reach out to some other people, and then more people reaching out to me, and it's just kind of snowballed since.
Yeah, I have noticed that. I think it's once you start getting those first couple of ones where people can see them online and see that I don't know, you're going to give them a fair interview and you're going to give them plenty of time to say what they want to say. Once they start seeing that, they can see that maybe, even though this isn't a massive platform I'm going to actually have access to, it's still access to some people that otherwise wouldn't hear what I have to say.
Yeah, especially because they're crypto specific. I think it's the main value proposition that I've always said to people to be on these platforms is because you're kind of cutting through all the noise on Twitter and Facebook and all the legacy platforms, and you're just getting right to the core
Mhm.
of the crypto and blockchain community that you might be trying to talk to, regardless. So if you kind of skip through all that noise, it it makes a huge impact, and I think that's why people are trying to get more involved in that space, and I think that's partly why John and Bill are so active on. I mean, they should be active on their own
Of
platform,
course, yeah.
but it's good that they're really true to that, and even new people they interact with, and I see them liking my stuff and engaging all the time, and when I've had issues, they've been quick to help. Um, I think it's unfortunate that they have like withdrawal approvals. Like when
Mhm.
you want to get your Minds tokens now, there's approvals that never used to be a thing. I complained to them a bunch. They said that they needed to have it for they had a lot of people from Thailand coming on and then trying
Mhm.
to like when they opened up to Thailand and they had a huge community join, and then they were like, vote just upvoting each other and then trying to withdraw all of the Mines tokens that they got and selling them. Because now Mines is on like Uniswap and stuff. Whereas for a good 2 years, it was only a utility token and it could not be sold anywhere except for one unlisted Fork Delta exchange.
Hmm.
But now you can trade it on, Uniswap and everything. So it's a very different atmosphere, and they have withdrawal approvals now. Which again, I will always, I will always advocate against any kind of like, uh, you know, approvals or things like that for access to your money.
Hmm.
It's kind of why I'm not posting on SoMe or SawMe Social anymore. Um, they had it for the longest time where you can't withdraw any of your funds that you earn at all, let
Hmm.
alone approval, unless you pay $100. Then you can do it, but you still have to get approvals,
What?
which is just all ridiculous to me. And they've had such like site breaking bugs for the past like 6 months, and they keep saying, oh, it's gonna be good, it's gonna be good. But
Hmm.
I'm just like, okay, well, you guys let me know when it's working again, because every time I come on it's still broken. Um and one thing that I'll always say, I do reviews all the time, and one thing that I see all the time when a platform is just not there or it's not quite very good, all the people in the community will say, "Oh, well, like, don't worry, it will be, it will be." And it's like, yeah, like I wanna give everyone their chances and stuff, but if there's 10 platforms trying to do the same thing, I'll just go with, Library and like
Hmm.
Hive and a few of the good ones. Why use, 10 awful ones? Mind you, I'm still on like 30 platforms. But as I said with my last review, I reviewed 130. So I'm obviously not on 130 platforms actively. But if you sign up or you check the platforms, you'll see I'm on them. I have an account and everything, and I've posted on there probably, but I'm not going to actively use 130 because it's just not possible. So, so I really only look at the ones that I think are actually going to, make it or actually uh, have potential to last. And I definitely give the benefit of the doubt to a lot of projects where I'm on way longer than they deserve to have me on there, like Tribe, for example. One of the only good EOS social applications, it just couldn't stay, it couldn't keep going. It was just losing value all the time, barely had any users, and it was the only good one, and it
Hmm.
was really not good. Now there's EOS Voice, but it's still not publicly available.
Oh,
Know how the beta is going to actually
you cut out for
work
a second there.
there
Sorry.
because oh,
I
okay.
don't know if that was my
But
connection
I
or
was just
yours.
saying, oh, okay, yeah, I was just saying EOS Voice. um it's an interesting situation because when the beta ends, they're going to reset everyone's tokens. And I don't know how long the beta is actually going to go for. They say August it'll actually be open. um we'll see,
Hmm.
because they keep pushing it back. And EOS has been having a lot of struggles with their being able to afford to making a transaction without having to have a crazy amount of stake, or having to like get a stake lease. And I think that's a huge turnoff for most people, except for people who are really, really in EOS. And with $4 billion, you'd think they'd be able to do something. And I just don't see them doing very much.
Well, one of the good things about getting yourself on all of these platforms is even if, like, assuming the platform does take off, you're actually someone who is known in the crypto sphere. So if you weren't on one of these platforms, someone will take your name. Guaranteed, someone will take your name if you're not on there.
Yeah, that's a good point too, right? Someone might like want to benefit by taking your name first. So it, on top of just, being a pioneer and getting in early. And the thing that I've always said is if you get on a platform early, you'll grow as the platform
Yep.
grows. So the reason that I've done so well on Library is because I was posting a lot when Library had that huge influx of users. And that is key on any platform to grow with the platform,
Yep.
especially when you're trying to get in there early. And I always point to like, the first 100 Twitter users all got 1 million followers, and
Hmm.
the first YouTube account with one 14-second video never posted again has like 500,000 subs. So, people got to take that into account, that getting in early is going to be very, very effective, and it's not going to last. It's going to have diminishing returns,
Well, obviously, you have to
but
keep making good
um,
content, otherwise, people are going to eventually stop following you just for the sake of the gimmick.
yeah, exactly. So you still have to provide quality content, but getting in there first is going to make a huge impact. And like
Hmm.
you said, just existing there is going to be helpful, because and I'll usually check in every now and then, or someone might come and be like, "Oh, like I'm on this platform too, and I see that you're on there, but you haven't posted. Why?" And I'll go and I'll check and I'll see if it's changed. And I always just reevaluate platforms and always come back to see if they're doing something new and trying to innovate. And there's been platforms that have completely, like exit scammed or gotten shut down, or a number of things. So um, I understand why people are hesitant, but
Hmm.
there's a lot of stuff out there too, and I don't want. My biggest concern really is someone comes onto one platform and they don't have a good experience, whether it's like sketchy or they just don't like it, and they think that is indicative of all the blockchain or crypto platforms. That's
Hmm.
my biggest concern. And that's why I like doing reviews and everything, so that people can see that there are definitely varying degrees of quality in what you can offer and what you'll get,
Hmm.
so that they know that it's not like, oh, this blockchain social media stuff that I went on there and it sucked. And it's like, well, that was one platform.
Sure. Yeah.
And I think that's really, really key.
Well, before we wrap it up, there's one last thing I want to talk about, and that is ScottCBusiness coin.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? I saw briefly that you decided to start off a token. What exactly are you doing
Yeah, I
with
mean,
that?
it's kind of just like a fun experiment, honestly. Like I don't think people are gonna take it too serious. I will absolutely like honor it 100%. And if people like are concerned or something, I'll buy back the tokens. But essentially what I was doing is I wanted to just test out the function of creating a token on
Hmm.
memo.cash. And because I like to test everything and then teach people about it because I think it's useful. And I decided, hey, like, what if people bought my token, and then I could use this as a way to like have a gamified approach to um sort of like a loyalty thing, where it's not like you pay like a Patreon like every month to get a mention or something in like a video,
Hmm.
because what I'm doing is essentially mentioning the like top 3 holders of the token in video descriptions. But I'm trying to find different ways to just incentivize people for holding the token. And I mean, they could just sell it or get rid of it or whatever, but I'll just find ways to sort of reward followers for holding this token. And I've kind of like, if you know what pre-search is, it's like you can stake tokens and advertise based on if you're the highest staker.
Right.
And I sort
Okay.
of took that principle, and then I was like, okay, how could I do something like a loyalty thing? And that's just kind of like a way for it was just an interesting way to have sort of like sponsorship of my channel, what without having to like require people to send me like monthly payments or something like
Hmm.
that. And then they could even sell it for more money if they wanted to in the future or whatnot. So yeah, I mean, it's a fun little thing. I'm not It's not like some crazy serious like investment or
Hmm.
something. It's just like a fun little like loyalty thing. So yeah.
Well, it's definitely an interesting project, if nothing else. It definitely
Yeah.
gives you content, that's for sure.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, right? Like, it's interesting. There's so many different ways to do things. I'm also looking at maybe creating NFTs for different things around my brand and then
Hmm.
selling it. So, one thing that I was kind of like thinking about, and feel free to do this yourself, was making like badges or some sort of NFT that is completely unique for each episode that I put out. And then you can sell the badge, and someone could effectively own the sponsorship of a single episode indefinitely, and they could own it themselves and they could
Hmm.
sell it to someone else if they wanted. And the idea would just be like, you have the ownership of like the badge that represents that episode. Obviously, you don't own the episode,
Mhm.
but it was just I'm just looking at different ways to monetize things, right? If you can monetize your taxes, you can definitely monetize your brand. So I'm trying to figure out all the different ways, and I really want people to get creative and empowered by different ways to make money with blockchain. And if there's ways to make money that people are interested in participating in on both sides, and it's a genuine exchange, then I think that's really, really cool, and just a really innovative way to use the technology. So the next thing that I'll be looking into is NFTs, probably, like I said, like badges for
Mhm.
episodes. But that's just something I'm kind of thinking about right now.
Well, that's a pretty good way to cap off the episode, I would say. We're at 56 minutes now, so just before you want to stop off. So, one thing I usually do at the end of the episodes is just mention some other creator out there. So, is there anyone out there that you're watching right now that you just think deserves a bit more attention?
More attention
Whether they be on
or
LBRY or YouTube, it can be anyone. They could have 1 million subscribers if you wanted to say someone like that.
true, true. So I guess the actually no, I have a good one. Lewis Thomas on Library.
Um,
Um,
okay.
Everyone check out Lewis Thomas. I really like his videos on Library. I feel like he does a very similar stuff to what I do, and he does it really well. So yeah, definitely check out his channel.
How do you?
Highly recommend it.
Is there a
Here, let me
dash?
just
Yeah, give me a link
yeah,
or
let
something.
let 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 me bring it up on Library so I don't screw it up here.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so Louis space Thomas, Lewis
Oh, I
Thomas.
spelled Lewis with E.
Um
Yeah, that
Yeah, so
explains a
his
lot.
channel is Lewis Dash Thomas, and he's only got about like just under 3,000 followers. But he does really, really great content, and he posts pretty often. So yeah, I watch his stuff like every time it comes out. And he's a small creator.
Mhm.
Not that that's a problem or anything. I'm just saying he's kind of like underrated in my opinion. So I highly recommend people check out his channel. And then in terms of someone who might be, already getting tons and tons of views, I would say check out Timcast because he's an amazing independent journalist, and he's actually one of the top channels on Library now, and
Yes, I can
he's
definitely get
actually
behind
really,
you on that.
really
Definitely
good.
go check out Tim Pool's work. He is an absolutely
Yeah,
amazing
Tim is
journalist.
great. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, and it's hard to there's so many different people that I follow. Like Naomi Brockwell does
Mhm.
really, really great content. Her stuff is really like I don't know how to say like what I do and what you do and what like Tim does is usually like uncut, but
Mhm.
hers is very like news-esque where it's like very like straight to the point, and there's a lot of editing and stuff that she puts into it. So she does really, really great work as well. I mean, there's so many people that it's hard to like narrow it down, but
Of course, yeah.
definitely Lewis Thomas is underrated, and Naomi and Tim are doing really, really well and for good reason. So
Mhm. Okay, cool. So, uh, I guess we can end it there. Before we go, just shout out whatever platforms you feel like shouting out right now. Whatever, any of your stuff that you're actually actively using that you can talk about without keeping us here for the next hour.
yeah, I'll say Cash because that's been the most exciting for me recently. They've
Mhm.
been growing at basically like they 4x'd in last month. So it's because they just introduced platform rewards, so they're kind of blowing up because of that. And I think that there's a lot of value to be had there, and it's going to be one of the main sort of Bitcoin Cash platforms that's or probably is the only like serious super popular growing developing on the come up Bitcoin Cash social platform. So that's my big recommendation. There's a million things that I could recommend, but they deserve a shout out right now because they're pretty small, and I see them going somewhere.
I was specifically talking about the stuff that like your social accounts that you want to be shouting out. But anyway, yeah, we can shout out Read Cash as well.
Oh! I thought you meant like a specific
No,
platform. Oh, okay.
other people have gotten confused by that as well. Maybe I need to change how I say that.
Yeah, no. I mean, you could just find me on every single platform at
ScottCBusiness. Yeah.
ScottCBusiness.
Okay, thought
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and if you're curious, the story behind ScottCBusiness is just quite simply that because a lot of people ask me why ScottCBusiness. Every Scott Cunningham name was taken. There's like almost none that I could find without adding like 1,000 numbers.
Mhm.
And ScottCBusiness, it came to the point where I was just like Scott C and then just adding words. And originally I had my university as the second word, and then I was like, that's dumb. Like, why would I tie myself to my university? So by my username. So then I was just like, okay, business or something.
Mhm.
And then that's what I ended up going with. So not super super interesting, but there's way too many Scotts out there, Scott Cunninghams. I was surprised. But yeah, everything under ScottCBusiness, and then you can find my podcast and uh basically anything that you wouldn't find under ScottCBusiness, you'd find under crypto and things.
Mhm.
That's what you would search to find my stuff on like Spotify and all that good stuff. On those platforms, I just sort of have my interviews, not my regular content. But otherwise, you'll find the most content on LBRY because I do some exclusive stuff. And yeah, so the best place to follow me is on LBRY at ScottCBusiness.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, this I feel like has been a pretty informative episode. Actually, you spent most of the episode talking. I didn't really get much to say in this one, which is kind of nice because usually I'm. A lot of the guests I've brought on have been a lot of my friends who aren't really used to talking on camera that much, so I'm usually the one bringing it topic to topic. But you managed to just keep it going yourself, so that made my job much easier this week. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I could just talk forever about crypto.
Yeah, it does seem
And
like
then
you
not to
love
toot
it.
my own horn or anything. Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I always say it's like, someone's seriously like good at what they're doing when they're really interested.
Hmm.
And because they'll be able to talk about it infinitely. When you get someone who's like a fake expert and you're like asking them questions, they'll be like, "Oh, don't ask me. That's such a simple question or whatever." And it's like, "Do you know the answer?" But someone who likes it will just go on and on and on, and
Hmm.
you'll have to tell them to stop. And I always thought that's funny, but yeah, that's definitely the case when it comes to blockchain and crypto.
Well, thank you for coming on to the episode, Scott. This has been a lot of fun for me. You,
Awesome. Yeah, it has been fun for me too, and I really appreciate jumping on and tech over tea, but with a beer instead.
yeah, I've got an empty teacup here with a cat on it.
Very nice, very nice.
I didn't. That was from last night. I haven't taken it out of my room yet. I think it was last night, maybe a few days ago. I don't know. Ed.
Hey, where everyone's at home doing their thing, right? So
Well, yeah, everyone's at home anyway, so hey. This is why I frame my shot the way I frame it. There's like stuff on my floor, but you can't see it because perfect framing. That's how you do it. You just got a good
yeah,
looking
I mean,
background.
hey,
that
I do the
deals with
same
it.
thing, right? Like this is my bedroom, but I make it,
Mhm.
look nice for the studio.
Well, I think we'll end it there because we're just over an hour now. But before we go, I would like to thank my supporters. So a special thank you to Joachim Craig, Nathan, Andrew, Montazar, PLD Road, Tony, Donald Spagine, and Zilver. If you want to check out this, the video version of this podcast, it's available on LBRY and YouTube. The audio version is available anywhere you listen to audio podcasts. You'll find it there. Also, go check out my main channel. That is Brody Robertson on LBRY, YouTube, and a bunch of other platforms as well. Yeah, so this has been a lot of fun. You're welcome back anytime you want to come back, Scott.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it sometime.
Cool. And that's pretty much everything for me. And how do you want to sign off the episode? Because that's how I usually end this off. I get the guests to do it because I don't feel like coming up with an outro.
Sure. Yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in, and definitely check out LBRY. I'm going to be coming out with a review on all of those platforms very soon. It'll be my 5th iteration of the comprehensive blockchain, social media, and crypto monetized platform reviews. So it's a mouthful. But yeah, definitely gonna come out with that very soon. So be on the lookout for that. And again, thank you for having me on the show.
No worries. Okay, so yeah, we just ended off there. So I'm out.